like a protocol for thinking, something like a framework for how to think in order not to be distracted and lost from the main idea. Maybe.
This is good.
Great.
This is
Okay, cool.
really good.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it's design methodology created by IDEO, this big design consultancy. It's a 5 or 7 steps, I cannot remember.
Well, yeah, they take the Stanford model, so 5, yeah.
Basically, ideation, inspiration, prototyping. For me, it was like an anticipating plan. Like everything that could go wrong will go wrong. So try to scope the future, forecast the future, and anticipate yourself to the future fails that you will face during a product design, service design. At the end of the day, a project,
design,
a startup.
So it's so many things, right?
So many things.
I think it's problem solving in an iterative way.
Speak up.
Problem solving in an iterative way. So
Problem solving in
iterations
an
of,
yeah, exactly. I'm not
Kai,
going to
Kai.
judge you. I failed on that one, and I think we all have our own definition somehow, depending on where we stand and how we look at design thinking, right? And I think as long as you know what you want to achieve with design thinking, and as long as you don't think of design thinking as the wonder weapon against anything, right, that comes there, unless you really do it in a big way, right, in a very open aperture approach, I think you're fine. Right? You just have to see what is the important part for you. However, when you look at the experts, obviously, well, IDEO, we have it here, Tim Brown, who wrote the book Change by Design, said that design thinking is a human-centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibility of technology, and the requirements for business success. Right? So what he's saying there is this Venn diagram that you often see. I don't know if you have seen it before, right? So you have feasibility, viability, and desirability. Right? This is how he defines design thinking. So when you think of design thinking, just think of these 3 things, and you basically have at least a definition of Tim Brown, which is quite an authority, right? If I had known this beforehand, before my interview, I think I could count on wide range support. So the book Change by Design is criticized often as being very, very theoretic and then not very user-friendly in that sense, right? So
You're saying he didn't apply design thinking to his
not
book.
really, right? But I love it. I think it's a great start into design thinking if you want substance, right? If you want to understand what you can do, what IDEO is actually trying to do with design thinking, right? Coming really from the product, service, experience design, and then doing what IDEO actually does, applying it to societal problems.
It's giving example as well, so it's quite concrete.
Yes. Yeah, but if you wonder, right, or if you were hoping like this is design thinking, step 1, 2, 3, emphasizing that, you don't really get it from that book, right? This is more like a meta discussion, right? A little bit of okay, what kind can you do with it, right? I don't know if you're familiar with the scene here in Dubai or to concrete, but what IDEO has done is they have teamed up with the UAE government and they have created an entity that sits downstairs, which is Palmwood. And Palmwood, they're just about tackling societal problems of the UAE. Right? So that is a specific entity that they have done. Or IDEO, as you have brought it up, they have these collabs. Right? I think if you collab.com, you can see many different projects, societal projects that they engage with, what they use design thinking for. So you said, well, design thinking is born of, well, it's a brainchild of IDEO. Right? And that is what you hear often. And again, it depends on what you think of design thinking is. This is why it's so important for you to have a definition, right? So that you know what you're talking about. And actually, when you look up on the web, Joe, I never can pronounce his last name, this is so unfair. She says Panska. He has written on Medium. I don't know if you know Medium, but that is where I get many of my articles, and I think the quality is quite good. He has written an article on design thinking origin story, plus some people who have made it all happen. Right? And I think this is when you print it out, this is like a big picture, like that, and then some timelines. It's fantastic. I just give you the essence here now, right? But if you want, just Google it later on. It's really worth the read. So a design thinking timeline, if you want to, could start in the 1960s. In the 1960s was the first time where design actually was acknowledged as a science, right? Before it was like, yeah, a little bit making things nice, right? This is not really something we can scientifically study. So design became actually part of a science of making physical artifacts. And this is why you have design so often in engineering, right? As some of the first ones. Then in the 1970s, you had someone named Horst Rittel, right? When you look at the literature of the 1970s, Horst Rittel was actually the IDEO of the day, you could say, right? Writing on design, this is what you would like to understand. And he decoupled actually design from this physicality and thought of, hey, it's not only the designing of physical products, but it's the interaction, right? So it's the birth of interaction design, if you want to, right? Early stages. Then in the 1980s, you have two authors actually, Donald Schoen, but mainly Nigel Cross. And Nigel Cross has one book that you often find also in the library still on design thinking, right? He really called it design thinking. And the 1980s was an interesting time period, from what I understood, is because it was like, hey, designers do something very, very special. Let's study it, right? Let's study what designers are thinking when they're doing their work. And that is what design thinking really was. And this is why they call it design thinking, right? They were really interested in understanding the thought processes of designers. And that is actually what Nigel Cross is famous for. And then in the 1990s, IDEO actually came in the equation. Obviously, Tim Brown is over there as well, but mainly the David and Tom Kelly, right? And they actually framed then our understanding pretty much until today of what we think design thinking is, right? Together with IDEO. And what they did is they opened design thinking to social sciences, right? So they actually said, okay, let's apply for our empathy work social science methods. So anyone who's studying social sciences and knows how to conduct interviews, right, knows the basic of at least the first part of design thinking, of this observation, of interviewing, right, of these basic things. And what they also did is they opened up design thinking to non-designers. Before, you always had in the design teams, right, in the consultancies, or in any team actually, you had only designers. And they started, because they were using social science methodologies, they started having cultural understanding, right, as a component. And then they wanted a culturalist, or ethnography, things like that, right, where people thought, why would you want this? Right? And they were the first ones. Exactly, you're laughing nowadays. Yeah.